One of the things that I've always thought about is my grandfather, Clifford. Wouldn't it be great if we could bring him up out of the ground and ask Grandpa, where did you come from? Who was your mother? Who were your siblings? What was your life before you got here in this spot?
The culmination is here. Joseph discovered the thrill of genealogy at the age of 12. In 2007, he obtained his AG credential, which stands for Accredited Genealogist. Joseph is an active lecturer and speaker at many regional and national conferences. So without further ado, I give you Joseph Shumway from Ancestry.com.
I'm really excited about some of the information that we have to share with you guys today, and I hope that you'll be excited to learn about it. So what do you say? Are we ready to dive in, learn about this? Okay. This is an 1880 census record from Abbeville, South Carolina. Clifford would have been 6 years old. We see a little boy, Tilton Kennedy, here, and he's 6 years old, and he's living in the home of Philip and Lizzie Glover.
He's listed simply as Philip's ward.
That could mean that he was their adopted son. It could mean that they were his guardian parents. From his marriage record, Clifford said that his father was named Lou R. Kennedy. And we spent a lot of time trying to find a Lou Kennedy who could have been his father, and we weren't able to find that.
It's possible because he was in slavery prior to the Civil War. That's the end of the trail, because the records simply don't document those ancestors beyond that point.
But do we know where the Kennedy came from? The seaman. The story we were told was he was an Irish sailor.
Right. We weren't able to find a document that actually shows us Lou R. Kennedy or who he was.
Well, I'm disappointed then, because I was hoping to call Caroline tomorrow and say, hello, cuz.
I know. So one question that we asked was, could we find some other way to identify if the story of the Kennedys coming from Ireland is really true? We enlisted the help of a DNA test. We can take a man, look at his DNA, and identify regions of the world where that direct male line would have come from. We found that Brian's DNA stems back to UK and Ireland. At some point, the Glover or Kennedy ancestors came from the British Isles. We decided to look at the other side of the family, which was Dana and Wayne's grandmother, Emma Ivy.
Her mother was Marianne Gillum, and her father was Moody Gillum.
Moody Gillum would be Wayne's great-great-grandfather. For an African American to have come from Virginia, to have been born free in 1800 is remarkable.
To discover that we're documented to the 18th century, African American people, that's phenomenal.
We learned that he was probably the first African American settler in Boone County. He came in 1837 and settled 160 acres of land that he owned himself. This is an article that was published in a Boone County history. He possessed all the qualities of a truly good man and justly merited the esteem in which he was held, and was highly respected by all of his neighborhood. I see a lot of traits in your family that were displayed by this ancestor, Moody Gillum. You're a family of firsts. Many of you have had a lot of wonderful accomplishments in your family.
When we tell the story of Mr. G's, there's probably not an uncle that I have who hasn't spent time helping my father out and my uncle out in the times when, you know, there wasn't necessarily enough money to pay people to do it.
Having a business, I think, is a big plus. It's something that you not only relish, you know, while you have the business, but it's something that you can always look at for the generations coming behind you. I always felt that we knew we would succeed. I don't think any of us had any doubts that we would not succeed.
A lot of people said that we couldn't make it, that we were out of our heads thinking that we could operate a retail business and survive in Noblesville. It's persevering. It's don't ever let anybody tell you you can't do something. No matter what the odds are stacked against you, if you want something bad enough, you'll work for it.
Things don't just happen. I mean, there's this history, and we're a part of that, and we're a result of that. To learn about this Moody Gillum and about his character, it's just connected dots.
We wanted to look at Moody's wife. He married a free woman by the name of Amanda Kennedy. They married in 1823. She died about 1842, and then he remarried a woman named Julia. And they're listed here with 13 children. Moody actually went on to father a total of 21 children. We wanted to know a little bit more about Moody's children, and we thought, where did they all end up? Where did these 21 kids go? So we looked at those children, we looked at their grandchildren, we looked at their great-grandchildren. We found that they went to Texas, Arizona, North Carolina, Michigan, Indiana here as well. Since today's all about family reunions, we thought, why don't we have a Moody Gillum family reunion? You might recognize them. They've been observing. You probably thought they were part of the crew, but I want to introduce you to Christy Coleman and Kim Ogunki.
Just to make the connection and see the look on everyone's face, because we've been here all weekend and they've not known who we are, but we've known who they are.
They are descendants of Moody Gillum, and they're your cousins, and they're here with us today.
They were just kind of milling around like the cameramen do. Now they know they're part of my family on my grandmother's side.
We felt like we were the last of our family. We've got a big family. All weekend long, we've been in the background just thinking we wanted to hug people and go and talk to them and ask questions.
I've been tearful several times, and I've really tried to keep myself composed. I've had to restrain myself of just wanting to hug somebody or wink at them. We actually grew up in Kokomo. We both graduated from Purdue. I'm a psychologist. I live in the Philadelphia area. Having lost so much of mine, to be able to find some now just feels like, you know, God's had his hand in this. We're one of four, and both of our siblings have predeceased us. And we buried all four grandparents and both parents. So Chris and I have just sort of lamented over the years how, you know, small we are and we have no family.
When they mentioned that they were only down to about those two, that was kind of sad. To hear that that's family, that was the icing on the cake.
Well, thanks, Ancestry.com, for all of the research you did, the paths that have been opened up to us in regard to different lines of our family, and we have a trail now to follow.
Family is who you are, who you hope to become, and it's just your roots in the world. So thank you for letting us crash your party.
Right.
So grateful to meet another branch of the family and connect some more dots, because that's what it's all about.
Do you know who that is?
I don't know. That could be Moody.
Is that Moody? We wondered if that's Moody.
It very well could be. I can remember my mother telling me stories about the family. But not paying any attention.
Hi, Liz. So I'm Brian's brother. Part of that club.
All right. Okay, so you're Brian's sister.
I'm his sister.
Okay, so that's their familiarity.
Yeah, I'm the youngest.
My grandmother telling me stories about her side of the family, and it goes in one ear and out the other.
Well, here's a mother we're convinced you look like.
Me or the other?
No, you. I think you that time. Yeah, when you're younger.
Now, I wish I'd have written, all of these things down, because then I'd have something solid to pass on to my children that they can pass on to their children.
My cousin.
We're so glad we found it.
And that's what reunions are about, is bringing the families together.
You couldn't script this any better. This was an awesome weekend with a dramatic conclusion to it.
We used to live in Philadelphia. Are you kidding? My husband coached the 76ers back in the 90s.
For her, this is like validating her research and validating what she thought.
Not really knowing who was connected to who.
And with the technology that we have today, there's no excuse, absolutely no excuse for us not to keep it all together, to do a better job of staying connected, to record what is known and to share it.
It's nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, Mr. Glover. I know. It means unity. It means having hope that my children and their children can have a place that they can call home. We're not going to wait that long to come back. It feels really, really great that I'm knowing all this family history. I just wish it didn't take 47 years to know it.
It just gets my mind juices going where I want to know more. A lot of them are getting up in age, so I definitely want to visit more and keep in touch with them.
Finding out that they thought they were at the end of their line, that was the best part. That was the best part. So you got us.
After kind of the presentation was over, that's when people just came up and, were hugging and started talking about, now tell me this name. And I've learned of actually 3 other reunions. So just as I've talked to them, there's a reunion in July. There's Robert Settleman. There are Grant Waldens,
really,
in southern Indiana that have reunions. So yeah,
so
we've got like
family reunions
starting in May all the way through July.
Grandmother was Sarah Elizabeth Walden. I think for me is the validation of some of the history I've heard about the accomplishments.
Yeah.
And, to know that, my mother came from very educated people, just at a time where for African Americans, that, it just wasn't heard of. Feels like I'm just now what I've always wanted, which was a big family. And so now I actually do have it.
We just help you just reach out and search some more for for your families in the past.
We do have a trail to follow now, and I myself have appreciated what information we have received.
I'm so happy that we really met some new cousins. I hope maybe we've learned a lesson from this today by meeting Chrissy and Kim that, had this been, perhaps documented in another way, we would have never had to find them. We would have always known about them. And it's easier said than done. We're all going to get back to our busy lives at any moment, and sort of the next reunion will be upon us. But maybe we will do a little bit more of that and preserve some of this. As I look at my...
As he looks at me.
Well, that's because she's a family historian. That's why.
Funding and genealogical research assistance for It's a Family Reunion is provided by Ancestry.com. With more than 10 billion records, Ancestry.com is the online family history resource.